Hello everyone and welcome to episode 10 of Violette Yarn and Gift Co. Shopcast Knitting Podcast. My name is Manos, I'm your host today, and Violette is located in Bouctouche, New Brunswick on the east coast of Canada on the Atlantic Ocean. It is a really cute little rural country, very touristy and welcoming, so welcome. Welcome if you are a returning viewer, and if it's your first time, I hope you enjoy it. Normally, I share my tips and tricks I wish I knew when I started to knit. Today's episode is the second segment of Meet the Person Behind the Hashtag. Before I introduce you my guest today, I would like to announce the two winners of last episode. All you had to do was to comment to win one of two gift cards. So Leslie Wittenberg 5525 as well as amberleighc. Congratulations to both of you. My email address will be listed in the description of the episode. So today I'm excited and thrilled to introduce a friend, a local person from New Brunswick, a sock designer, as well as a podcaster. So without further ado, I am going to introduce you the person behind the hashtag Knit Sip Happy. Grab your drink, your favorite drink, your project, and come back and join me, and I'll introduce you my friend Nancy. Well, hello everyone and welcome back. I am honored and excited today to have my friend Nancy at Knit Sip Happy. So this is a special segment, as I said earlier, about meet the person behind the tag. So hello Nancy.
Hello. Lovely to be here.
Thank you for being here and accepting my invitation. I was thrilled when I said you're coming. So here we go. So we met a few years ago.
Yeah.
When I first met you, you were on social media under Will's wife.
Yes.
And you were a sock knitting addict. You were sample knitting for people like the grocery girl, Jody, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yep. When did you flick that switch and decide one morning, I'm going to design my first sock design?
It wasn't really a flick. It was new yarn had come in. Deborah from Yarn Indulgences, my yarn bestie, who is behind the camera lurking.
She's here. Hello, Deborah. She can't hide.
She brought out a new yarn, a sock marl yarn, and we were sitting at the beach at Bouctouche dunes that we like to go and hang out with each other. And I just, the horizontal lines of the yarn, and I just wanted to see it move, and we were looking at the waves and the marks on the sand, and it just kind of, and Deborah loves feather and fan, so we thought feather and fan. So yeah, I just knit up a sock, and 6 months later I wrote it up and put it on Ravelry, and it became a thing.
Yeah.
And I totally never planned on doing it again, but loved it, so I did it again.
Oh, that's
and
fantastic. I'm so glad that you continued. So just so you know, guys, that first pattern came out on February 2022. We're now in July 23. 18 months later, she has self-published, you may correct me if I'm wrong, she has self-published 13 socks of her own and got published in 52 weeks of Sock by Len Publishing. That's a great accomplishment. Congratulations.
Thank you. That was quite the moment when I got that email.
Yeah.
Shocked. Gobsmacked has been my phrase over and over. So yes, it's turned into a thing. So, and then the podcast came after that, because I also have a podcast on YouTube.
That's right. Yes. A great podcast, by the way.
Thank you. And that came about because I had a pattern coming out, and I had to do. There was no tutorial online for the stitch pattern that I was trying to do. So I created a YouTube channel to do the stitch pattern and the tutorial to link to the pattern, and then had a glass of wine one day. And if you've been around, you'll know that's a theme. I had a glass of wine one day and thought, what the hell?
Yes.
What the heck? I'm just going to give it a try. And I did, and it went out, and no going back at this point.
And then you became Knit Sip Happy from Will's Wives. So that's quite amazing. And it's fun, and I always feel like I should be drinking something more than water when I wash, but it depends. Sometimes I watch very early, so not in the books, but you're having water today with me because it's a little early. So cheers.
Cheers. And I'm driving, so, you know.
Of course, we can do both, but Deborah couldn't drive you today. So let's have a look at your first pattern. It's called By the Shore, and that was published in February of 2022.
So it's just a simple little stitch pattern on the front with stockinette, just to show off the fun lines. So you can see the sock marl with those strong horizontal lines. I just wanted to play with it and move those stripes. So it's just a simple feather and fan lace running up the front. I just did some contrast black to kind of pull out the marl. So this was my first pattern, and inspired by the beach, which we love.
Yes.
So,
and I did notice then when I look at your patterns, they're very nature inspired, correct?
Yes, a lot of times,
or landscape,
trying to find the inspiration and the joys of living on the East Coast. We do have beautiful scenery, everything from the meadows and the hills and lots of trees in New Brunswick, and to being able to go to the shore and to the beach and enjoy that so much. It's nice. So yeah, I brought 3 pairs of socks today to show you, and they're all Bouctouche, New Brunswick inspired.
Bouctouche, right here. So when you come and visit the shop, I can direct you to all those places. So By the Shore. Yeah. And then you published a little bit later the Bouctouche Boardwalk.
Yeah, Bouctouche Boardwalk.
Amazing.
So this was knit in yarn I got at the store here. This was a Leo and Roxy yarn. I forget the colorway name, but it is water inspired as well. So, and this one, it's the same, has that plain background. My patterns, I like to do intuitive, rhythmic, one step up from vanilla. You can chat and have a glass of wine and keep knitting. It's not, you don't have to keep referring back to your pattern. Yeah. So when I get feedback from my testers or from knitters saying, I just had to look at the pattern a couple of times and I just knit the whole thing. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
It's engaging enough to not to be boring, and it's beautiful, and I love every single one of them. I've purchased many of them. And talking about when you publish, I'm very grateful that you gave your first week of sell to a charity.
Yep. So every sock pattern that I self-publish, as long as it's not a collaboration or involved with a festival, I will donate the first 7 or 8 days, if I forget, worth of money to a charity that strikes my heart for whatever reason. There's been this By the Shore was for Alzheimer's, for my grandpa. And so every pattern has a different charity. Bouctouche Boardwalk I did for local Ukrainian charity because the war with Ukraine had started when I had just published this in 2022. Mm-hmm. So
it's amazing. I'm grateful that you did that.
It's a joy. It's a joy to do, and I appreciate the support of people always clicking by and then gifting some to friends as well. It's an honor, and I'm thrilled to be able to do it. And this is fun for me. I have a day job, and I'm lucky that I can do this for fun.
So besides finding your inspiration on the East Coast, bridges, you got a movie that you did some sock, and I've done those socks because I love them. And it was, the title of the sock was bringing some eyebrows a little high.
Absolutely.
But it's called Tits Up.
Tits Up.
And beautiful design. You can describe it, Nancy, if you
So
like.
it's just a really nice, simple 1/1 twisted stitch kind of motif with some purl stitches in between. And it's they look like little boobs running up the side of the
boobies.
sock.
Yeah, I got my boobies. Yes.
So this one was inspired. I had picked up yarn, Mrs. Maisel themed yarn at Knit City Montreal back in 2022, and I hadn't used it, and I'd always planned on doing something Mrs. Maisel themed with it, and I had Tits Up in my mind because Tits Up is something that the two main characters say to each other to, you know, bolster themselves and make them feel good and, you know, confident and ready to go into the moment. Ironically, in the UK, in England, which is where I was born and have lots of friends and family, Tits Up means it's all gone wrong.
Oh, that
so
is too funny.
yeah, that sock was inspired by the yarn, and then getting that cute little motif, and then we happened to be in Manhattan the week that the show was coming back out and the pattern launched, and it just all the pieces kind of fell together, and it was a blast taking the Tits Up socks around Manhattan and taking pictures and videos and
places that Mrs. Maisel have been
absolutely.
and all that stuff. So if you haven't watched that show, it is addicting. It's fun. It's light and fun, and even my husband enjoy watching it. Actually,
it's a little swear heavy. It's a little sweary. It is hilarious, and I hope I've turned on lots of people to Mrs. Maisel. I know a lot of people have told me they hadn't seen it, and I was like, you've got to watch
it. The pattern was like you were. And I like how you do teasers now. Like you will send a little bit of, and you allow your tester to post the work in progress, and people are like, ooh, I can't wait. Actually, I told you yesterday, 2 people came this week to buy yarn for the pattern that's not out yet. So that was pretty cool.
That is amazing to me. I don't know about this life I'm living.
So looking at all your pattern, and I haven't been lucky enough to knit all of them yet.
As not a sock knitter, I think you're doing admirably well.
Oh, thank you. Well, when I make 2, it's pretty cool. I like making socks. I like making socks in the summer because it's a little project, and when my husband drives, it's not heavy on me, and I can knit. It's a traveling project.
Yeah, they are the perfect little portable summer on the road, out and about project. I like to do
shorty. So my shorty, I can do one on my way somewhere and one on my way back. So
yes.
So in all your sock design, is there an element that we can find, or you're trying to change everything when you're redesigning the socks?
So my first few were all cuff down because I am a heel flap and gusset aficionado, because I have a high instep, wide foot, and I find heel flap and gusset fit me better. Short row afterthought heels need a lot of editing for me, and those kind of edits are difficult to write into a pattern. So the heel flap and gusset gives a lot of customizability. So January 23, I did my first toe up pattern that included a gusset, German short row, heel turn, and then a heel flap integrated. And so I've kept that same feel and fit, but with a toe up, because sometimes the design doesn't work going down the sock. And my new one is a perfect example. My new one is also going to be toe up because it's called dune grass, and I didn't want the dune grass heads pointing down.
You gotta be standing up.
So there's just some logistics around it, but fundamentally it's that getting that fit that everybody wants, and you can input whatever heel you want. That's the other thing with joy of a sock. You can customize it. I have some of my testers who do put short row heels, and they hate heel flap and gussets. We're all individual. We all like our own,
and that's the pleasure and the beauty of knitting is you can customize.
But fundamentally for me, it's that element that it's a rhythmic pattern. It's easy to memorize. It's fun to do. There's a fair bit of just plain knitting as well that can give you a rest rows, or just a little bit of that stockinette to keep you going. But if I do a plain pair of vanilla socks, I'm bored to tears. I lose the will to live, and I end up on Instagram. I'm not knitting.
You know what? I find it takes longer.
Yes.
It takes longer because you procrastinate.
Yes.
Like she said, I'm not even done. I'm going to finish that one, then I'll go on Instagram. No, I'm halfway and I'm already on Instagram. It's just so boring. Like when I do a yoke, it has design on it, lace or color work, it flies by. When I get into the stockinette plain, just like, okay. And then I totally get the sleeve island.
See, I don't mind sleeves because it reminds me of a sock.
Yeah.
when I do them on the short circulars.
Yes. Well, talking about short circulars, so if you read Nancy's bio on Ravelry, she talked about the design and the sock and all this, but she also has a little blurb about being needle neutral. It made me giggle when I heard that for the first time, but it's great because a lot of people ask me, okay, I want to knit socks. I've never done sock before. What do you suggest? DPN, circular, magic loop?
Yeah. Again, like the fit of our socks, the way we knit our socks is so individual. I started knitting socks on DPNs when I came back to knitting about 10 years ago. And I picked up a bamboo set because that was what was recommended to me, and I snapped 2 needles in 24 hours.
I did that too. It's like bang.
Yeah.
They're like little toothpick.
Yeah. So first lesson, 2.25 millimeter needles, metal for me, for my tension.
Yes.
Then I discovered magic loop. Then I got onto the 9-inch circular. I know people do them on 2 16-inch circulars as well. I've never done that method, but I've, it's got a similar feel to magic loop where you're working the back and the front. But I write my patterns that will work with any style. We don't talk about needle 1, needle 2, needle 3, needle 4, needle 1, it's just talking about the stitch. So you can divide those stitches up, whether you work on 4 DPNs, 1 magic loop divided in 2, 1 circular all the way, 1 9-inch circular. So again, it makes it a little easier for people to transition depending on the style that they like, how they like to knit.
Absolutely. And now you just told us you use 9-inch.
I do.
For most of you?
No, it depends. For me, the style that I knit, 9-inch circulars, I can't do any complex like twisted stitches. I don't have the leverage the way I hold my needle. Yeah. So for me, I can do yarn overs, I can do slip knits, I can do knit 2 togethers, but and make ones, but anything more complicated than that, and I end up going back to magic loop because I need that longer needle tip to be able to lever in. Yeah. I have a lot of my testers who are doing the fancier stitches with their 9-inch circs and not having a problem. But again, it's individual and it's how you hold your needle and how you tension your yarn. So for me, 9-inch circs tends to be like easier kind of slip stitch style, easy lace. But I find them so fast because there's no, the downside with the magic loop is pulling out and resetting and turning and then pulling out and resetting. That's right. With the 9-inch, you just keep going.
It is my go-to technique, definitely. And I do my mittens on a 9-inch as well, my sock, my mitten. So for me, because it's the method that I prefer, when people are coming in, it's hard to recommend something else, but I do say, well, these are the 3 styles of sock knitting you can have. Yeah. What do you recommend? Everybody's so individual.
Yeah, absolutely. So and people who know how to knit magic loop will still prefer to knit their socks on DPNs. It's just so individual. Absolutely. I think for a starter, if you know how to knit magic loop, I think that's probably the easiest method to knit socks for your first one, just because there's less having to, because with the 9-inch circulars, you can't knit the toes and you have to transfer. Some people can't knit the heel with their 9-inch. I do.
I put mine on DPN.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah. I just find that there's more room and I leave my Shawl with
on the other side.
On hold, and then I just knit mine.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I do mine all in one, but some people don't like, again, so it's, you kind of find the method that sticks, that makes you happy, and if you want to try something different, and if you don't like it, oh well. The only thing,
at least you've tried, right?
The only thing with 9-inch circulars, I say don't give up too soon, because it definitely, if you're used to working with longer needle tips, working with those little shorties, I think I was talking to Sophie with Cozy Meadow, I'm like, do it in short 10-15 minute increments. Kind of try and get the feel for it, because you can again, it's a matter of how you hold it and how it feels, and because I remember my hands hurt for a couple of days when I was trying to do it and I wasn't going to let it go. I'm stubborn that way. Hello, Taurus. I'm really stubborn. So I always recommend, don't do what I did. Give yourself a break. Do it in shorter stints.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I find with the DPN, sometimes I get ladder.
Yes.
So the 9-inch circular, you don't get that. Do you get ladder when you do magic loop?
I don't know. No. And again, it's just a matter of playing with your tension. Problem with me for DPNs these days, I do so much on circular needles. you pull out the needle and you fling and you let it go because you're used to it being attached to a cord, and all of a sudden your needle tip is no longer attached to your cord, and I end up with DPNs flying all over.
Flying all over. You go with the big magnet after and trying to find all you.
The couch usually eats them.
Yeah, no kidding.
My husband turn it over and shake it every now and again.
Yeah, and find all the stitch marker at the same time. So is there anything that we can see coming in a new design? Like you've been knitting socks and designing socks. Would we see anything different in the future, like accessories?
I don't think so. I don't have any plans. Socks are kind of my happy place, my comfort place. It's where I started. As I said, my journey back to knitting when I came back in my 40s, and I'm terrible with a spreadsheet, so anything math related makes me a little nauseous. Socks are kind of have that. I did go out of my comfort zone and did a DK sock late last year, and that was all new numbers. But again, there's only a certain construction for a sock, and it's
socks, like when you get to your heel, it's usually half of your stitches, and it's kind of once you understand the construction of a sock, it's pretty simple and basic. And it's so nice to see all the pretty design. Yes. So you have a new design coming up.
I do.
And it's coming up like today, just so you know, we're recording on July 30th and it's Sunday morning. That's why we're drinking water.
Yes, that's the other reason we're not drinking wine.
But this beautiful pattern that I've seen passing and the teasers are like so much fun because like, oh my gosh, then you bookmark the post and you're waiting and you're marking it in your calendar. Like I can't miss the release of that. So tell us about it.
So lovely to hear.
I know.
So this is one without an end woven in. I thought I'd woven them both in. Wrong.
Let's pick the good one.
Let's pick the good one. So this is the dune grass sock. So this is a toe-up construction. We'll talk about that in a second. And so we've got a nice panel on the front. Ooh. And you can see these little seed heads there. That's why it had to be toe-up, because I couldn't have those facing the ground. Yeah. So this is just it's called a tuck stitch. So it's just a little easy on a pearl background with these columns. So it's the dune grass at Bouctouche Beach. So I've just done it all in one color. Some of my testers are doing some contrasts. But toe up, work up the foot, do a gusset increases, and then a German short row heel turn, heel flap decrease, and then we've got a fun little rib panel up the back. And if you wanted, you could put those little tuck stitches in there if you wanted to. I just kept it plain just for rest rounds.
Yeah, this is fun. This is new. I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
yes, it's
so
gorgeous.
And here in Bouctouche today, I'm off to the dunes after this to take some pictures.
With your photographer, so please, no blooper today, no, unless you got your water shoes and your swimsuit, because I actually messaged Deborah, did you have to go swimming to get that cowl in the water? There was a little blooper. I'm going to put the blooper video so you can see what I'm talking about, but sometimes it happened.
There was a rogue wave. There you go.
Oh, that's too much fun.
Yeah.
So it's releasing on August
1st is the plan, Tuesday, August 1st, as long as the technology gremlins stay away. I just decided on my charity. It's going to be Crossroads for Women. They're a crisis transition charity for women escaping domestic violence. And I just, we're predominantly a women for the most part, but we're humans, so we're supporting other humans in a bad time. That's amazing. That's going to be the charity for this one, and can't wait to be spamming the Instagram.
I'm going to help you with
all of the pictures and the videos over the next week to raise as much money as possible.
Exactly. So mark your calendar and buy the pattern as soon as it comes out for the charity and for Nancy, and it's amazing. So this podcast is usually about tips and tricks. And would you have any tips and tricks to?
I do. I include I have tips and tricks sections in my patterns. There's certain ways to make your sock knitting experience to give you a better clean result. And I think the biggest one is when you're doing a cuff down sock, is when you cast on your ribbing, you're going to have a tail hanging off, and there's always that big gap. So in order to avoid that gap, on my patterns, every pattern has it, if it's a cuff down, you're going to cast on, and when you join in the round, you're going to knit you're going to knit and purl the first 2 stitches with the working yarn and the tail. And by doing that, that brings that tail over that big gap and gives you a nice smooth transition that you can hardly see. And then it makes it super easy just to weave in your ends down on the inside, because you're not having to weave and graft and try to fill that hole. The hole's not there anymore.
Wow.
So knit and purl the first 2 stitches on your first round with the tail and the working yarn.
Wonderful.
Gives you a beautiful clean cuff.
Tip of the day. Tip of the day, yes. Yeah. So let's see. Do you always swatch? Not for socks, because you know your gauge,
yes.
you know your yarn, everything. But when you knit a garment, do you watch? Do you knit for brain?
Yeah.
Do you swatch?
I'd say 75% of the time.
Okay.
There's certain designers, I know their gauge. I've tested it for them, but if it's a new yarn, then I'm gonna re-swatch. I just did a swatch last night on Holst Coast. It's super fine, got the spinning oil in it, it needs a good wash. The recommended size was a 4 mil, and I'm like, ew, and my gauge was off, so I am gonna go down a needle size. Will I re-swatch? Probably not. I'll just punt. I know I needed 24, I got 22. On a 4 millimeter, I'm gonna go down to 375, and that'll get me there.
Yeah, and then you can just knit a bigger size then, because you're going a little bit, like you're going to lose 2 stitches per 4 inch.
Well, no, if I go down a needle size, I'll probably get the 24.
Okay.
Yeah, if I go down to 375 millimeters.
Perfect.
So swatching, yes, 75% of the time I would say, yes, I do swatch.
Yeah, I never used to do, and once I knit a sweater, the needle recommended was 4.5, and I end up going 2 needle sizes up. And it's not because I'm a tight knitter, it's because the designer was extremely loose. Yeah. And I was like, you know, I knitted, it was a bottom up, so I knitted that much, and I'm like, man, this can be so tiny. Yeah. And I put it on cotton, I couldn't put it above my hair. So.
The designer's gauge is always so different. Yeah. So, you know, unless you're really confident and have knit from that designer before for a garment, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to knit a garment.
Yes.
And I know we're all eager and we want to jump right in, but you know, I took 20 minutes last night and knit I don't knit a big one. I knit, you know, because I only measure over 2 inches. I know I should measure over 4, but I'm pretty consistent. I know my gauge, I know my tension. Yes. So I'll do a little 2 by 3 swatch and washed it, and hair shedding.
DNA behind.
I'm leaving a little sample of myself here for you.
Yes. So, and who's your favorite designer? Knitwear designer?
That's a hard call. I love Isabel Kramer. I guess if I had to pick one, it was going to be Isabel Kramer. I also love Libby Johnson of Truly Myrtle. I've done a lot of testing and stuff for her. Her fit is always excellent. I find Isabel Kramer's patterns also fit me really well. So.
Yeah, those are.
I just bound off an Isabel Kramer, and I think that's what I'm swatching for is another Isabel Kramer.
Yeah. So when you're not knitting, you're not going to a car show with your husband that you're knitting there. What do you do for fun? Oh, this is all fun, like really, right?
I'm always crafting somehow. So I've always crafted ever since I was a kid. I used to do a lot of cross stitch and embroidery in my 20s and 30s, and then my eyesight started to go. So that's when I came back to knitting. I hadn't got to progressive stage yet. I always have something in my hands. And mostly these days it is knitting. Yeah. So we're kind of homebodies. I work with the public, and I'm quite shy and socially awkward, and everybody always goes, no, you're not. I kind of am. I'd rather be home than out and about in the world.
And it doesn't make us antisocial, you know, because people, I mean, I'm the same way. People don't think that I'm shy, but I'm shy.
Yeah.
And it's hard to come out of your shell sometimes.
Yeah. I've spent my whole life trying to not be. And at this point, I'm just, this is the way I am. This is who I am. And I'm happiest being home for the most part. We love to travel when we can. We like to spend time with our kids and their dogs. And but I'm still
Your
knitting.
grand furry babies.
Yes, but I'm still knitting through all of that.
Yeah, exactly. So talking about travel, you're going to England to some yarn show.
Yes.
And that's pretty exciting.
Yes. Yeah.
If you wouldn't be going to England and you can pick one place in the world that you like to visit, where would that be?
It's continental Europe, so Germany, Holland, Austria, Denmark, Norway, Iceland. Yes, I'd like to go to Norway and get yarn in a grocery store. Yes, please.
I know, would that be fun?
Yes, please.
Well, in Quebec, you can get yarn at a drugstore.
Really?
Yeah, there's a company, Madeleine, if I'm not mistaken. They are selling their yarn in Jean Coutu.
Huh.
Yeah.
Not here. We have Jean Coutu. We don't have yarn here.
Oh, I'm going to talk to Kevin from Madeleine and find out. So, we're about knitting. What are you wearing today?
I'm wearing my Salty Air tee, and this is knit in the Sandnes Garn Lin Tynn Lina. Yep. So, and
gorgeous.
I did it super cropped wear with this silly black dress that has really skinny straps. Love it. And I bought 6 balls of this from Manos last year or early this year, and this only took 3. So I'm currently on the needles. I have another garment in this yarn for my daughter, a little tank, a wide strap tank that she can wear to work.
Fun.
So that is in my knitting bag right behind the camera. So I'm looking over there.
And it looks amazing on you. That color is stunning.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, really happy with it. And you are?
I'm wearing my, this is an old one. It's a Waiting for Rain.
Yes.
And I can remember the designer's name.
Sylvia McFadden.
McFadden, that's correct. So it's got short rows with lace and a bottom lace.
Beautiful.
Picot edge.
Yeah.
And it only takes 2 skein of yarn. And if you look at the project on Ravelry, there is some 2-color one.
I did a 2-color one.
You did a 2-color one.
I did a 2-color
and you can do the short row with the different colors.
Yes.
You can just put stripes in it.
Yeah. I just did mine with the contrast was just in the lace, and then the lace at the bottom.
Yeah.
And the picot bind off were in the contrast. So
it's been a classic, and I just love it.
Yeah.
And since we have AC on, and I didn't really feel like wearing something knitted today, I thought, well, I'm gonna put a little shawl on.
I love the summer teas, so I'm all about the linen cotton this time of year. So
it's perfect. It's light.
Yes.
And you don't feel
very
like you're
light.
wearing some wool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you so much for being here, Nancy.
Thanks for having me. It's flown by.
Yeah. So I am going to purchase pattern from Nancy to give away. So just comment.
And Nancy's going to donate one to give away, so there'll be 2.
Okay.
2 can play at that game.
Okay, so we'll have 3 then, because I always do 2. I was going to buy 2, so she's going to be 1, and we're going to be 3. So just comment down below what pattern you like to receive, and I will draw it in the next podcast, and
we will send that to your Ravelry inbox or your email if you're not on Ravelry.
That's right. So we'll put down in the description everything we talk about and where you can find Nancy at Knit Sip Happy. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Cheers.
Bye-bye.